of the Always Believe House. Oh, we're about to have FUN, fun, because we're going to do the test review for your unit test over functions and the basics of what a line is, the x-intercept, the y-intercept, the slope, how you get all that, the zero of a function. So a magical whiteboard appears and let's start rocking and rolling. So we're going to go through and graph the lines on number 1 and 2. So I'm going to zoom in. And we are going to do number 1. So write the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and slope of the following lines, and then we want the equation of the line y equal mx plus b. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is put a dot on the y-axis. The y-axis will almost always be an integer in Algebra 1. So our y-intercept is -2. The x-intercept's right here, and it's +1. And remember, the x-intercept is also called your 0. Now then, to get the slope, I'm going to call what's made a slope triangle. You go up or down and to the right. Your slope is up or down over right. So the top number of the slope is how much you go up or down. The bottom number's to the right. So let's get our slope. I'm going to draw the slope triangle. I go up 2 over 1. So our slope is 2 over 1, which is 2 Now then, the equation would be, this is your slope, and the y-intercept, the y-intercept's 2 The y-intercept goes right here. So our equation would be y equal 2x minus 2. If you were to graph that, you would get the same equation. Let's go to number 2, or the second graph. Okay, first thing you want to do is locate the y-intercept. The y-intercept on this one is 3. The x-intercept's right here, which is 2. That is also called your 0. And now then we want to get the slope. Remember, you go from left to right. So I'm going to start at my left dot, and I need to go down first and then to the right. So I'm going to go down 3 and over 2, aren't I? So my slope is -3 over 2. Notice that this line doesn't go up, it does go down. Our equation, our slope goes here, and our y-intercept goes here. It's going to be -3 over 2x plus 3. Piece of cake. Now then, let's go to the next one. Okay, we have functions here. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to graph this, and then you're going to hit Control-T and find that point in the table. So what's ever to the left of -10 in that table is going to be the answer. So the first thing we want to do is graph -2 parentheses 2x minus 5. So get your calculator. We're going to hit home. We're going to go to graph, which is B. You should have f1x, and now that I'm going to type in -2 parentheses 2x minus 5, close parentheses, hit enter. Then I'm going to hit Control-T, and I generate my table. Now that on this problem, I want my x to be -10. So I'm going to hit my up button until I get to the -10. The -10 is right here, and to the right is the 50. So if I input -10, my output's 50. You should not miss this, okay? So on your paper, you're going to put 50 right here. So if you input -10, you output 50. Now then, let's do another one. So we're going to graph this, and then hit Control-T and get to that 6, right? So we want to graph, hit Control-T and get to the 6. So I'm going to go to my calculator. Make sure you know how to get another line up here. We have to get rid of the table, Control-T. Got to get rid of the line, delete. Hit enter. Now then, you could hit tab, but you could also do menu, graph is 3, and we always graph a function. That gives us our f1x equal. Always make sure that's f1x, or you may not get the right answer. So now we're going to graph 4 parentheses, -3x plus 2. Close the parentheses. Did I type it in right? I typed it in right. Hit enter. Now then, we want the input to be 6. So I'm going to hit Control-T, and I want this number, that x, to be 6. So I'm going to go down, 5, 6. 6 is right here. To the right of 6 is -64 in it. So if I input 6 into that function, my output is -64. So I'm going to go to my paper. This would be -64. Piece of cake. Okay, let's go to this one, number 6. Okay, graph the line with a y-intercept of -2, which would be right here on the y-axis. Remember, the tail of a y goes up and down. The y-axis is up and down. The x-axis is your number line. You started in 6th grade doing integers with. The 0 is your x-intercept, and it's at 3 in it. All you have to do is plot those 2 points, connect the dots, and you have just graphed that line. Make sure you can get the slope too. The slope would go up 2 over 3. The slope is 2 over 3 in it. And the equation would be, just to extend this, y equal 2 over 3x, and it goes through -2 for the y-intercept, right? That would be the equation on the line. Make sure you know how to locate the x and the y-intercept. Go on to the next one. Okay, we got to get the domain and range. The easiest way to do this is to draw that box. These are continuous functions, so it could go from one number to another number. You have to write how to write a number between 2 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to leave my pen blue, and I'm going to go over here, draw a box that goes from the left to the bottom to the right to the top. Notice that the graph does not go outside this box. Now that the domain goes from left to right, this will be my left number, this will be my right number. So my domain is going to be right here at -4 and right here at 1. So -4 to 1, and you always use less than symbols. Both of the dots are closed, so I'm going to have closed dots. I'm going to put the equal bars. Piece of cake. Let's get the range. The range will go from the bottom to the top. So my bottom is right here, -3. It's a closed dot. My top is right here at 2, and it's also a closed dot. So we're going to go from the bottom to the top, -3 to 2, and put less than or equal symbols. So it's all the numbers larger than -3, but less than 2. You got to be able to write that in words also. Let's go to the next one. Okay, remember, you're going to draw a box around this. If you can't, if it's on a computer screen, just imagine that box. So our box is going to go like this. Notice that this does not cross the x-axis, but you can still see the left and right. So the left of it's right here with a closed dot. The right is right here, but the dot is open in it. So it goes from -3 to 3. So my left number is -3, my right number is 3. This has a closed dot, this has an open dot. All the numbers bigger than -3, all the numbers smaller than 3. And let's get the top and bottom number. The bottom number is -4 with a closed dot. The top number has an open dot, and it's -2. So we're going from the bottom to the top. -4 to -2. The -4 has a closed dot. The -2 has an open dot. Piece of cake. Okay, on this one right here, let's say we're drinking a malt that's 16 ounces, and it takes 12 minutes to drink the malt. This is what we're doing. Same thing, you're going to draw a box. So our box would look like this. And your domain goes from left to right. So I'm going to put a dot here and a dot here. This dot is not 16, it's 0 in it. That's 0 minutes, and it goes to 12 minutes. So my domain goes from here to here. It goes from 0 to 12. The 16 is not in your domain. Okay? And they both have closed dots. I'm going to put less than or equals. My range goes from the bottom to the top. So right here is my range. It goes from 0 to 16, doesn't it? So my range goes from 0 to 16, and they both have less than or equals. So all the numbers larger than 0, all the numbers less than 16, all the numbers larger than 0, all the numbers less than 12 would be that in words. Go into the next one. Okay, we got to find the domain and range of these. Remember, in a discrete function, the numbers are not connected and they're individual, okay? So y'all watch how I'm going to do this. This domain is right here at -4. This one's at -2. This dot's at 1. This dot's at 3. This dot's at 4. I have just circled all my domain numbers. So just go across the x-axis. Look where there's a dot above and below it. That's your domain. So my domain is -4, -2, 1, 3, and 4. Now that I'm going to write my range, I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. So my range, I have a dot here. I have a dot here. I have a dot here, I have a dot here, and I have a dot here, don't I? Y'all see how I went across? That's going to be my range. It goes from the bottom to the top. If one of them repeats, you only write it down once. So my range is going to be -1, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Let's go to number 11. The domain is your input, and the range is your output. Piece of cake. Put them in order from least to greatest. So my domain goes from -5, 0, and then 2, 6, and 8. Notice how I'll put them in order. My range would be these numbers, the smallest numbers, then -8, then -1, and then 3, and then 4. This would be a function. None of the x's are repeating, is it? Number 12. Okay, Bubba Bob has $20. This is going to be your starting amount. He wants to earn more money to go to the fair. Oh. Who doesn't want to go to the fair? He mows 4 yards in his neighborhood for $8 a yard. That will be our growing number on it. So let's make a T-chart over here. I'm going to put 0 yards, 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, and we start off with $20, and we're just going to add 8, aren't we? 36, 44, 52. This would be my domain, which would be the yards, and this would be my range, which would be the money, wouldn't it? So at 0 yards, I have $20. After 1 yard, I have $28. After 2 yards, I have $36. After 3 yards, I have $44. After 4 yards, I have $52. This right here would be my money, and this would be the number of yards I mow, right? So the X is how many yards you mow. The Y is the money you have. We mow 4 yards, so it just goes from 0 to 4. You don't connect the dots, do you? So it's just going to be individual numbers. You're going to have a problem like that, so make sure you can visualize that. Number 13. Which of the diagrams represents y as a function of x? Write down x cannot repeat. If x repeats, it's not a function, okay? So let's look at this one. Underline your x's. None of those repeat, is it? So this is a function because the x does not repeat. If the x repeats, it's not a function. Go to the next one. The -2 goes to the 2, and the -2 also goes to the 4. The -2 repeats, right? Not a function. Why? Because the -2 repeats. I have an x that repeats, right? The -2 is repeating here. Let's go to the next one. This one and this one. This is 2, 0. This is 2, -2. Do you see how the dots are stacked on the vertical line? It's not a function because the 2 is repeating, right? 2 repeats. If one of the x's repeats, it's not a function. Go to the next one. Okay, here's my x's, 3, 4, 5, and 2. Those are all different, aren't they? This is a function because the x does not repeat, okay? Piece of cake. Please don't miss that. You should know if it's a function or not. Please, please, please. Okay, this is something new that we learned. So you're going to graph this. You don't have to solve it for y. You're going to physically type in solve, and then you're going to graph 2y equals 3x minus 4, hit comma y, and it's going to graph that line. Then you're going to want to make a T-chart and get the 0 number and the first number that's all integers, okay? So let's go through this, and we're going to graph this, okay? So I'm going to go to my calculator. Okay, I need to hit Control-T to get rid of that table. I'm going to hit delete, 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 hit enter, and then you can hit tab. Let's do menu 3-1, menu graph the function, and then we're going to type in the word insolve. N-S-O-L-V and E. So I've typed in insolve. Notice how it changes. Start a parentheses, and now you're going to type in 2y equals 3x minus 4, and then you have to hit comma y. So comma y. Now then I have 2y and the comma y is inside the parentheses, hit enter, and it will graph that line. Your calculator may take some time. Now then, once you have the line done, hit Control T, and it's going to give you the T-chart, and hit the up button once. Notice, what's to the right of 0? It's -2. And I'm going to also use this one. So I'm going to use 0, -2. I will not use 1 because of the 0.5. So 0, -2, and 2, 1. So 0, -2, and 2, and 1. Now that I'm going to graph those dots. 0, -2 is right here. Over 2, up 1's right here. And then connect those dots. On the test, if you put those 2 dots down, it's going to connect them. You also choose linear because you're graphing a linear function. So you're going to click on the function, you're going to click linear. We have not got to quadratic or exponential, and you got to physically drag those 2 dots. It's going to connect them and graph the line. Piece of cake. Let's go to the next one. Okay, on the next one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to graph this line. We're going to solve it. We're going to type in insolve and solve it for y. We want 0 something and then 2 integer points, right? Can't be any decimals. So let's go to our calculator. We're going to hit Control T to get rid of the table. And then we're going to hit delete, delete, delete. Hit yes. And then I'm just going to hit tab and I get my F1X. Now that I'm going to type in negative or insolve. So N S O L V and then E. I typed in insolve, parentheses, and then -3y equals 2x minus 6. 2x minus 6, and then comma y. Comma y. If you can't do this, the more you use the calculator, the better you get. Just keep using this calculator. Hit enter. Notice this line does not have a positive slope. It has a negative slope. We're going to hit Control T. And notice we have a lot of decimals here, don't we? So I'm going to go over here, hit the up button once, and my 0 is 2 in it. And then this is the next dot we're going to use. So 0, 2, and 3, 0. So I'm going to go to my paper. The 0 was 2. The next number without decimals was 3, 0. So you don't want any decimals in your T-chart. Now you go over here. You're going to have 2 dots on your paper. The first dot you want to drag is right here. Make sure you pick linear. So you're going to go up there, click linear. We're not doing exponential or quadratic yet. And then you're going to drag the next dot to 3, 0, which is here. And the computer will automatically graph the line. So make sure you can get those 2 dots drawn, okay? Piece of cake. We're almost done. Okay, the 2 graphs show the amount of MSUs, functions, and minutes. Identify the x and y intercepts of both graphs and write down what they mean. Okay, so let's go over here. Our x-intercept is 10. Okay, the x-intercept represents 10 minutes. She runs out of soda, right? Equals 0 soda. Or she drinks all, after 10 minutes, she drinks all the soda. The y-intercept is 18. And on your test, it's the starting amount. On your test, it's the initial amount of soda. So the y-intercept is what you start with. The x-intercept is when you run out of whatever y is. So on this one right here, our y is ounces. When you run out of ounces is your x-intercept. Okay? Go to the next one. The x-intercept is 8. So on this one, the x-intercept's 8. 8 minutes equals 0 soda, right? Or 0 ounces. She drinks all of the soda after 8 minutes. And how much do we start with? This is our starting amount, right? On the test, it will be the initial amount of soda. And just on this one, just to have fun, put a 0 here and highlight that 8. This right here is your domain, isn't it? Your domain goes from 0 to 8, doesn't it? And right here, from 0 to 24, these numbers would be your range. Your range would go from 0 to 24, wouldn't they? Okay, that's how you would get your domain and range. You are going to do a wonderful, wonderful job on your test. Keep believing in yourself. If you have any trouble, get in for tutoring tomorrow morning. We'll help you out. Remember, you are amazing. You were created to do wonderful things. And you are awesome.